Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Future Jobs, the podcast where we explore bold ideas and the people building tomorrow's world. I'm your host, Fahad Jobswala, and today's guest is Junaid Ahmed, founder of Home Studio Mastery and host of the Hacks and Hobbies podcast with over 600 episodes. He's a creator, mentor, and systems builder, helping people turn passion into powerful platforms. We'll talk about studio setups, mindset shifts, and what it really takes to build influence with purpose. So, hi, Mr. Junaid Ahmed. How are you? And welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here. Super excited to talk about the future jobs that are coming our way, and some might already be here.
Exactly. It's all about the people mindset. Some people adopt things, very quickly. Some people take some more time, more than expected one. So, Mr. Junaid Ahmed, it's so wonderful to have someone from the, you know, who have the same hometown which I have. The difference is just that you're born in Karachi, then you're now moved into the US, and you're, running your amazing podcast and your, amazing mastery the studio company. So, Mr. Junaid Ahmed, could you please tell us about yourself and the passion, the excitement, and whatever that was, which took you from Karachi to the U.S.
We all grow up in the spaces that we are, but it's really the story, or it's really the parents that you have that take you to where you end up being. So my parents, they moved out to Saudi Arabia, and then eventually I moved to the U.S. for higher education, and that was my little journey on that I went that I had no control over. Right, we don't really have control over where we end up being, but the goal is to make the best of where we are and what uh, tools we have access to. So I've been fortunate enough to grow up in a place and have the support of my parents to be able to do what I get to do today. So that's a little bit of how I got to right. So when I was younger, moved to Saudi. My dad was working over there, and I went to the elementary and middle school as well as high school in Saudi, and then from there I moved to the U.S. To achieve higher education, where I learned about computer programming, software engineering, website design, graphic design, everything that had to do with computers. I'm really passionate about technology and computers, and I got to learn all of that, not just from school, but also through my passion and digging into and being curious about technology.
Wonderful. It's so amazing. You talked about the Saudi Arabia as well. You like your parents moved to Saudi Arabia, and you also, but then you moved to U.S. for your high education. You know, and that is really wonderful. And that is something which most of the people wish. Most of the parents wish that the kids may go to U.S. and to get a high education, a good education. They do whatever they can for the kids. So, but Mr. Junaid Ahmed, you haven't mentioned about the podcast. You moved to US for your higher education. You learn about computer programming and a lot of many other things, related to computer. But what was that? Was that curiosity, or what was that thing which you know um, forced you to take this initiative and to open your wonderful podcast and to then start, company which sets up the amazing studios for other people, for other podcasters.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I'm tech enthusiast behind learning about computers, building graphics, and building computers, you name it. Now, because I've been creating websites and graphic design, it's a it's something that a creator does. And as I was involved with blogging at that time, helping people launch websites, this is almost 20 years ago. I was launching websites and helping people create their online presence. And I discovered podcasting in something around 2008 to 2009. Is when I discovered, and I was really intrigued. I was like, "Wow, this is really interesting. Let me see what's really possible." And at that time, I connected with my cousin and my brother-in-law, and like, "Hey, let's start a podcast." So in 2012 December, we launched a podcast called Still Brewing It because, as technologists, as somebody who loves following the tech space, iPhone, Mac, and whatnot, we kept talking about different ideas, and I was like, why not create a podcast and talk about this tech? So, Still Brewing It was a podcast that we launched, which unfortunately only lasted about 4 episodes, and that was due to the lack of technology that is actually available today, more than it was before. As we move forward, we kind of left it at that. Now, fast forward to 2018, I was like, you know what? I need to get back into podcasting. I need to launch my podcast, and I'm going to have to do it alone. So at this time, I was reading the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, Crushing It. And in the book, he mentioned, hey, you don't really need a story. What you really need to do is document your journey. And I was like, well, what journey am I on right now? And it turned out that I had just finished my beekeeping course to become a beekeeper. I was like, this is a journey worth tracking. This is a journey worth capturing. So I started uh, podcasting, talking about beekeeping on my podcast. And it essentially became a one track vlogging or a journaling platform for me in audio format to talk about the different uh, stages of beekeeping, the different levels of beekeeping, and it was all around beekeeping. And after about a year, I was like, okay, I've talked enough to myself. This has been a lot of fun. Let me go talk to some other people that might be talking to themselves like me. And what kept me going was the community that I was part of. I was part of the Anchor community that had just started back in 2018. It was around. And then I found some other communities all around podcasting, which helped me to keep moving forward. So the first time that I wanted to do an interview based platform or a podcast, I used Zoom platform, which enabled me to not only talk with people, but also be able to publish these episodes. Now, as I kept doing this, nobody pushed me to do this. Nobody, asked me, "Hey, you should be doing a podcast." It was more of a internal desire to get the message out there, and just one of the biggest desire was to leave content for my younger generation, my kids over here. So here's my son Isa. He wants to say hi.
Hi.
He's 3 years old. And so when we get to create this content, when you get to create these stories, you're setting a precedence for your kids, for the future generation. And as we're talking here on this the Future Jobs podcast, what are the future jobs that people might be thinking about, right? They might be podcast production, they might be VR management, virtual reality, spaces, like you name it. There's so many different places, and the speed of yeah, we have Darth Vader here as well. So the speed of things that are moving forward, especially in the AI space, is monumental. Like we are moving in breakneck spaces, which means we are now needing prompt engineers that are using AI. We're needing graphic designers that are using AI to create new ways to communicate and whatnot. Yes, thank you, brother. And so that's been my little bit of journey of how I got here and what's enabled me to, keep going forward.
such a wonderful and inspiring journey. Mr. Junaid Ahmed, you just explained, and it's really wonderful. So you almost have covered, a lot of aspects of your podcasting journey. So, like you first when you started talking about tech in your podcast, then you moved to the beekeeping as you were, attending the beekeeping sessions or whatever. You've trained for beekeeping. So then you start talking about beekeeping. So now your podcast called Hacks and Hobbies. After that beekeeping podcast, how did you turn into your podcast into Hacks and Hobbies podcast? And there are a lot of other things. You have your own company, and according to what I heard about podcasting, that if we use podcasting for branding for our businesses, then it'll be a lot of potential we will get. So could you tell us more and how
See,
we can earn by our podcast?
the podcast platform is one way to get the message out. It's one way to share your story, share your journey, and where you actually come from. It's For me, podcasting has been a personal development journey. And along this journey of personal development, along this journey of learning the way to ask questions, listening actively, and really growing as a person has not only enabled me to be in front of people that are much much farther ahead than I am, but also enabled me to see, hey, this is a vehicle to get there. Just like we had blogging in the past where you could write as whatever it is that you're passionate about and build a library of content which can then become books. Podcasting is that new way to journal, to document, to invite people into your world and enable you to learn as well as to offer it as a platform for people to grow and people to be discovered.
Wonderful. So as I asked that how we can earn by our podcast, so many people ask that is it necessary to have a side company or side business in order to earn through podcasting? So the person who is just starting the podcast, let's suppose a person is starting the podcast, he don't have or some other sort of things, but he's starting. So how he can set up all this and how he can take things further in order he has a mindset that he want to earn through his podcasting. So how would you
Right. To
describe that?
if you're looking to earn through podcasting, then you need to have a really darn good expertise or skill set that you can maximize using this platform as a podcast. So you would bring in people on your podcast that might be facing some kind of problem and you have the solution. So that's one way to get in front of people much faster. I know I've got my son here and he he's probably wondering what is dad talking about. But all I'm saying is that it's another way to get in front of people with confidence. Get in front of people with your expertise, and the more you share your expertise through podcasting, uh, the more exposure you're going to build. Again, it's just one way of building that resilience, building that uh, ability to speak about your expertise. So, if you're starting a podcast and you already have an expertise, you already have some kind of business idea in your mind, podcasting can get you in front of people that might be potential clients, that might be potential partners, that might be potential investors in your company. So look at it from that perspective. I recently attended VidCon where Casey Adams, a one of the top podcasters, He started his podcast in 2018 as well, or 2017, and he interviewed a ton of people. He also had the opportunity to interview Gary Vaynerchuk. And as he's interviewing, he built that mindset, hey, what am I going to build? What are the problems that I'm trying to solve? So once you go down that path of solving your own problem, what problem did I solve for myself? Well, during the pandemic, we were all stuck at home and I needed to record some courses. So I solved my problem by setting up my little studio space over here with the different looks, the different camera angles. And as I did this, people were like, wait, how are you doing these camera switching? Why is your camera quality so much better than mine? We're all using the same software. And I started teaching them, hey, you need the lighting in the right space, you need the microphone in the right space so that you sound professional, so that you look professional. We're not using any virtual backgrounds because we're able to create a space that's designed to highlight you, that's designed to showcase your talents, your professionalism. So that was my expertise that I pulled from my passions of being a photographer and filmmaker.
Wonderful. You also had a background of photographing and filmmaking. That is just very cool. And your studio really looks very cool, very amazing. And probably every podcaster has this wish, to get get on such kind of you know space and such kind of position in order to do that.
Absolutely. It's a
Studios. So
yeah, in this time and space, this is something that you want uh, in place because not only does it show that you're a professional, but you're also caring about the other person on the other side. You know, when you show up with good lighting, good audio, and good setup, people pay more attention. They stay for longer because they expect higher quality confidence. They're like, okay, this movie looks really good. I'm going to stick around. So think of it from that perspective. If you were to see a video or a movie that was not shot properly, audio was crappy, you're probably going to skip that channel and go watch something else. There's so many dramas, there's so many shows, even shot in Pakistan, right, that are on YouTube. Really high quality content, absolutely high, 4K, and people are watching that content, right? As soon as the episode is dropping, it's getting 4 million views within a couple of days or maybe in a couple of hours because they have high quality, they have good story, and they have people subscribe to watch and follow that journey. So we're trying to do the same thing as podcasters, as business professionals, to set up that high standard, to set up the look that conveys the message that, hey, I care about you because the one way to care about somebody is to care about yourself. And when somebody sees that, okay, this guy's taking care of himself, that means that he's going to take care of me as well. You're not going to go to a gym and work out with somebody who's skinny, right? You're not. Because, like, what is this guy going to tell me about losing weight or gaining weight unless they're teaching you how to lose weight, right? So you're going to want to model the space, the outcome that the guest, that the client might be also looking for.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Where?
And this one.
Oh, this is for a different thing.
This is after the other
Fahad, I want to
So
thank you
thank
for bringing me on. This
you
was a
so
real.
much, Mr.
Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Junaid Ahmed, for turning on and for can do this again. Sometime if you
Yeah, Fahad, I would love to talk more. I think we definitely need to do part two of this conversation. Thank you so much for your insightful questions and your inquisitive